a lot of people have one foot out of the marriage because they're hoping that they can find someone close to what they see on the screen rather than the person they have at home, male or female.
Welcome to the Restore Go podcast, where we discover ways to restore our relationship with God and others. Now, here are your co-hosts, Biblical Therapist Pete Thompson and Biblical Coach Lynne Thompson. Together, let's learn how to restore go.
Welcome to Restore Go. I'm Biblical Therapist Pete Thompson.
And I'm Biblical Coach Lynne Thompson. Thank you for joining us today on our Restore Go podcast. Today, we're realizing that we're getting ready to celebrate Valentine's Day. Many of you are out there shopping for your beloved, trying to find the right gift, whether it's flowers or candy, maybe a nice piece of jewelry or a sweet card. But
yes,
good stuff, all good stuff. So, but while gift giving is an honor to someone you love, we wanted to discuss the difference between love versus romance. And so my first question, Pete, is do you have couples that come in, are they saying they don't have enough romance in their marriage, or what are they saying?
Well, some are coming in, the wives will come in and they will say, you know, he doesn't pursue me like he did when we were dating. And some wives will say that. Some will come in and just know that something's not right, something's kind of broken, and it's just not what it should be. And others will know that the things that are going on, but they just don't have the courage to say that. And so they'll just say, we don't know.
The women don't have the courage to say, I don't feel pursued.
Yes.
Why do you think they don't feel comfortable saying that? I have my theories.
What are your theories?
My theories are that Satan is such a good liar that he's telling them that they're not pretty enough. That's why he's not pursuing you. You're not as great as you used to be, and so that's why he doesn't pursue you. Or he's found out who you really are, and now he's not interested.
Or the idea, because the enemy is attacking the family.
Yeah.
And so he will have all these magazine pictures and commercials, and there's always the saying, if you buy this beauty product, your husband will pursue you. And so women are believing the lie that, well, if I just look this way or do this or have this product or wear these clothes, that my husband will pursue me like he used to when we were dating.
Right. It's great for the industry that sells all that stuff. Do you think, though, that maybe, I know the women are being sold that bill of goods. Do you think the husbands are receiving kind of a similar message on the other side saying, this is the model look, this is what your wife should look like? And so if she doesn't look like that, then you've got a raw deal.
You got a raw deal, and you don't have to pursue her until she looks like this idealized image that we see in inappropriate content on TV and on the internet. And so the enemy is playing both of you against each other, trying to divide you and to attack your marriage.
That's so interesting, because then it does become a contract marriage. If you look like this and I look like this and I do that and you do that, well, then we're good.
We're both happy then.
Yeah. And again, that becomes more me-centered, right?
Yes. And me-centered never works long-term, because eventually you get tired of just getting everything you want, and life gets boring. And so life is exciting when you're pursuing your wife and you're seeing the expressions on her face and the joy and the peace in her life. Because remember, the enemy is telling her that she's not enough. And he's telling her that, you know, you're not pursuing because she's not enough in some way. And it's really a terrible effect of how the enemy attacks our family as a result.
Oh, that's so good. And you can see that happening. You can see how the culture is moving towards a looks-based, basis. And it's not even real.
No.
And so these images that men have gotten into,
Yes.
they're not even real people. So you're not going to find that person because that person is a conglomerate of enough airbrushing and digital, manipulation and filters. And now it could even be AI.
Yes. Yeah. And so you don't even know what you're getting. And the problem is the relationship that you have with your wife, that's real. That's who you've done life together. That's how you've had experiences together. And so as you pursue her, you're telling her that she's worthwhile. You're telling her that she's worthy of love. You're identifying Christ's love to her because you're pursuing her. So then all the attacks that the world is doing on our wives, and as it does on the husbands as well, isn't going to work because she's content and know who she is in your love for her and who she is in God's love for her.
It's so funny because when I was doing a study on like romance, where that whole idea even came from, and we could get into the details on how it wasn't even part of the English language.
Yeah.
It comes from Latin, and it comes a derivative of Latin, and on it goes. But one of the things that was considered romance was the chivalrous knight who comes to protect and save, the princess or, that type of thing. And so being a knight, being chivalrous, they had their own code.
Yes.
It was, protecting the innocence and protecting virtue and honor and all of those things. That desire from a woman to want someone to esteem her and to protect her and to value. I mean, that knight in shining armor concept is still present in the heart of women, and men are not showing up to save them from the attacks of the enemy.
Yeah. And because they're not doing that, women are looking at alternate sources to get those feelings that, oh, he saved the day, he's and all this type of stuff that really, I mean, some days you might have to save her from the kids,
That's so true.
Especially the teenagers. And so, you call her up and, hey, it's a terrible day. And so, then that's code for, okay, when I come home, I need to address and comfort her and save her from the tyranny of the teenagers.
So true. I think one of the times I admire you often, but I still remember, I won't say who, but, one of the kids were getting totally out of line, totally disrespectful. And you had a come to Jesus moment with them. And you said, you will not speak to my wife that way. And I was like, oh my goodness, he values me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that lets the wife know that she is safe and she is protected.
Yeah, well, it's interesting how this whole idea of romance kind of trickled into some dark places. And, you see Romeo and Juliet, that's the first thing that comes to mind as a classical literature with romance. And you have two kids that are very young and immature and who have parents that don't agree with each other. They have different values. Their families basically have different value systems. But it doesn't matter. We're going to forsake our families and we're just going to pursue each other to the point where they're not even being logical anymore. And of course, sorry, spoiler alert, that story does not end well for those two. And then I was thinking of another piece of literature, which has even gone into the cartoon world for, children, is The Little Mermaid. Basically, you have a girl who forsakes her community's safety, her father, she turns her back on her father, she turns her back on her own dreams, and she even sells her soul for a prince that she has romantically fallen for. And, in the original story, the original Little Mermaid story, it's a tragic ending, just like Romeo and Juliet. I mean, it's just not good. And so, the cartoon version sanitizes the reality of it. But this idea of putting passion before obedience to God
or logic,
and it's almost glamorized as being seen as a good thing. when it really, I think the old arts, the old literature got it right, that it does not end well when you put your passion ahead of obedience to God and logic. Hey friends, let's be honest. It can be difficult, if not impossible, to find a Christian therapist that's true to your values. Pete Thompson knows that. As a licensed therapist, he is committed to providing godly counsel, introducing helpful tools battling everyday problems like anxiety, addictions, as well as marriage and parenting challenges. Give Pete a call to set up your next confidential appointment online or in the office. Visit PeteThompson.org. Again, that's PeteThompson.org.
Because it sets you on a trap of now you see this image of this person and what they appear to be, but all it is an image. You don't know this person and you don't know really what they stand for. You just know that they look the right way and they say the right things, but the truth is in the details and in what people do, not what they say.
Well, yeah. How many times have you seen the absolutely gorgeous man or the absolutely gorgeous woman that basically stabs you in your sleep? Those kind of people that you're like, whoa, I never would have thought that of that person. And I think that, like in the news, that's what becomes so sensational. I mean, you have your Ted Bundys and you have your people that look like normal or even above normal as far as looks people.
And those people are used to getting what they want because of either their looks, their intelligence, or something. They're used to getting what they want. And so they're very me-focused. And that's the last person you want to be in a relationship with, unless you want to be the doormat.
Well, and if a person is living by romantic feelings as opposed to commitment, and you want your passions to guide you, the follow your heart story, which is such bad advice.
Yeah.
It could lead anywhere. I mean, could it not lead to, as a single person, follow your heart passion could lead to fornication.
Yep.
Could lead to marrying a non-believer, right?
Well, my heart feels I should do this. He's saying he will leave me if I don't do this. And it's just the trap. And it's like, he's such a valuable person, so I want to keep him, so I'm going to do this.
Yeah. And then in married relationships, this guided by your passion thing could actually lead to adultery, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because, again, it's not love for God. It's not commitment. It's not obedience. It's not any of those. It's what makes me feel good in the moment. That's the thing that guides me when you're passion driven.
Well, and we look at scripture when that comes to, scripture kind of gives a clear account, especially in the Proverbs, of where following your passion leads you. And it doesn't lead to good places. And so one who's guided by their passion as opposed to their obedience to the Lord can go to really bad places. I mean, the story of King David actually is a cautionary tale of someone whose passion got in the way of his successes many times.
Or Samson, that's the train wreck of going by your passion and, picking a worthless woman.
But she was gorgeous.
Yeah. But.
And she literally was the one who would stab you in your sleep.
Yeah.
She sold him.
She sold him, made sure his eyes were poked out.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, that doesn't end well either. You'd think we would learn after all of these Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C.
Well, that's where pride can come in. They won't do that to me.
Oh.
So we insulate ourselves with pride, and so we think that we can make these emotional, romantic decisions, and it's not going to come back on us, and it always comes back on us.
Right. And, one of the things that we women are kind of known for is wanting to go see chick flick movies. We call them chick flick. They even have a title for it now, right? In our day, they didn't even have a name for it. It was just, romance movies or they call them rom-coms. A lot of them call them rom-coms now. And so, you go to those, and if you go to the mindset that you're just enjoying a good movie with your husband, or your girlfriend, whatever, that's one thing. But if you're going thinking, there's my ideal on the screen, the one who's been Botoxed and makeuped up and looks the perfect look and is wearing the right clothes and the right filters on the camera and acting by a script that they didn't write It's not like
because they're
that.
acting.
They're acting. They're acting. If you've ever heard them interview actors, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, wait, where's the brilliant words that are coming out of their mouth on the screen? Well, somebody else wrote those, somebody else wrote the words.
Yes.
But you can almost get to a dissatisfaction of your own relationship by saying, well, you don't add up to what's on the screen.
So therefore, I'm not going to be invested in you. And a lot of people have one foot out of the marriage because they're hoping that they can find someone close to what they see on the screen rather than the person they have at home, male or female.
Right. It goes both ways. Because, women's novels, love romance novels, and there's other words that go in front of that word novel that's not a good thing. Those novels, and there was actually a movie made off of one of them that was very 50 Shades thing. That was terrible. And so you look at those kind of propaganda for dissatisfaction and breeding dissension in your marriage. You actually aren't you're not being the knight in shining armor that's protecting your family by allowing that kind of stuff into your home.
Into your lives.
Well, yeah, and not to mention the children's lives, right? I sometimes wonder, because they did a study and they find that marriages are down, with young adults and stuff. I wonder if the inappropriate material, let's call it, that the men were into, and the excess of romance. I mean, heck, they even have their own channel, right? The Hallmark channel. They have their own channel, those romance ones. I'm wondering if that has bred in the next generation.
Absolutely, because it makes the standard so high. Hey, I want somebody who looks like that. And if I don't get somebody that looks like that, or I don't get a guy that says these things and does this and is secretly inherited $1 million and he's, is whatever the storyline is. When I was in college, I had an English professor, and he talked about a famous novel brand at the time. They have a script. There's certain things that happen in the first couple chapters. There's certain things that happen in the middle of the book. And then there's certain things that happen in the end of the book. And so all it is you're writing to this script. And if you stick to the script, you'll get published.
Right. It's a formula.
Yeah,
it literally
it's totally a formula.
It is. Well, I mean, that's what those Hallmark movies, it's so funny. I saw a couple, they're a married couple that were on, I think it was on Instagram. They were like, if our relationship was a Hallmark movie, right? And so they were acting it out. It was actually quite hilarious because you saw, as they were acting out, you thought, yeah, in real life, this really looks dumb. I mean, it looks so fake. And nobody acts like this in real life.
No. Yeah, you're back for your 20-year reunion.
Of course.
And then...
Save the family farm.
Yeah, exactly. And you're seeing that person that you had a crush on in high school. And, now it's going to make all the...
Yeah, you knew he was a dweeb then, but for some reason, everything's changed. He's blossomed. And
Yeah, all this type of stuff. It's like,
Yeah, it's really weird how we've become almost a virtual world in every part of our lives. It's after a while you're just like, this is so, it's like we're living a TV show, right?
Well, they're feeding it, and so they wouldn't be producing it if we weren't watching it.
Yeah,
because there'd be no money in it. And so we are creating the things that hurt us the most.
How is love different from romance? I mean, I know that when you love someone, you, like you said, you're pursuing them, you're showing them that they're valuable in a romantic way in a marriage relationship. But how are love and romance kind of different?
Well, romance is based on a feeling. You're trying to get a feeling out of this. You're trying to get something out of the romance. You're buying these things on Valentine's or before Valentine's Day because you're hoping that it will produce something that you benefit. It can be, what is it? Quid pro
quo. Yeah. A mutually beneficial.
Spend all this money on this.
Or actually not even mutual sometimes.
Yeah. And so where love is, I committed to you under God and all the witnesses that watched us get married, and I'm here whether thick or thin, and it's not a feeling. Love is not a feeling. I think they have a lot of songs, Love is a Feeling,
They do.
by some famous groups, but it's an action, and
Yes, I
the
love that.
commitment. And so pursuing your wife is protecting her from the world influence. And as we pursue them, and they know that we're committed to them, you're probably going to save a lot of money, because she's not going to be running out and getting all the miracle cream or whatever things to, because of what the world's telling her, because she knows what you're doing. And it's not just you telling her, but you're doing it in your actions. And that's a major way we as men protect our families.
Well, and as women, we're not constantly berating our husbands and comparing them to, someone who doesn't really exist in real life, and say, well, if you love me, then this is what it looks like. And, you should be buying me this. You should be doing, and it becomes, after a while, you're this woman that's just demanding things of this man who's trying to love you well, if he's walking with the Lord too. But regardless, as women, we're called to love also unconditionally. He might be going through a rough patch. And, there have been rough patches. We've been married 40 years. There have been ups and downs. And there have been times that I was less lovely as a person. There have been times you were less lovely as a person.
Once or twice in 40 years. Once or twice.
But, during those times, you go, this is what I signed up for. This is the commitment to love unconditionally, to pray and to encourage and to bless them through this time, and to allow love, like you said, to become not just a feeling, but a verb that you are acting out in daily life.
Because as Jesus lives in us and drives our decisions, we're loving our most important neighbor.
Yeah.
And so that's the second commandment, and so that's acting it out. It's acting out Jesus' love, not a selfishness, but we're acting out Jesus' love by loving our wives and pursuing them.
Yeah, I thought we'd end today with a final word from the scriptures about love. And, it's the kind of love that sent Jesus to the cross, who paid for our sins. A lot of times they'll read this during weddings. I see it a lot, this passage read a lot during the weddings. But I thought we'd just close with that today as we think about what love really is. Because romance isn't going to get you through the hard times. It's not, because feelings come and go.
Well, yeah, because then when you have a bad feeling or something's not working right, well, I just don't feel this way anywhere and any longer. And so some people have rationalized, well, God wants me to be happy. So if I'm not happy because I'm pursuing a romance, then God is saying it's okay for me to end this relationship and find another relationship that I'll be happy in.
Well, and then that's why you can see there become multiple marriages, because, this one doesn't feel right, or this is no fun. I'm going to move on to the next one. And I have this passion and this feeling. And, there's always going to be those strong feelings at the beginning that will fizzle out through different times. And so using that as a barometer as to how well your marriage is going is very dangerous. So let's go ahead and read. It's in 1 Corinthians 13. It says, love is patient. Love is kind. It is not jealous. Love does not brag, and it is not arrogant. Love does not act unbecomingly. Love does not seek its own. Love is not provoked. Love does not take into account a wrong suffered. Love does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things. Love believes all things. Love hopes all things. Love endures all things. Love never fails.
And that's what God gives us, to do that. We don't have that in our own ability, but that's where Jesus living inside of us and helping us show that love because he showed it to us first, so we can show it to other people, our most important neighbor.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining us today on the Restore Go podcast. We drop a new episode every Wednesday. Please like, subscribe, and review. Feel free to write us at question@restorego.net. question@restorego.net. We'd love to hear from you. You can always visit our website at petethompson.org. Until next time, be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the Restore Go podcast. Now, Restore Go is produced by Pete Thompson Christian Counseling. Pete is a licensed therapist who offers affordable family and individual counseling in North Texas and online throughout the United States. Pete provides counseling from a biblical perspective. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and visit us at petethompson.org.